Described by some as brave and progressive, or stupid and dangerous, reckless and even racist priorities, there's no denying that for the past week the Extinction Rebellion has taken both London and social media by storm with their protests. Established less than a year ago by activists Roger Hallam and Gail Bradbrook, the group first became noticed in 2018 after blockading 5 of the major bridges in Westminster, and more recently at the start of the year when they occupied 5 prominent sites in central London. Promoted as an international apolitical network using non-violent direct action on their own website, the group have left it to themselves to stop the complete proposed climate breakdown we are facing, which the government has ignored. Their demands? For the government to recognise the ecological emergency, reduce greenhouse gases and to create a citizens' assembly. But are they going about this the right way, and are their goals obtainable?
So what has inspired you to be here today, sir?
What inspired me to be here?
Yeah.
Well, I'm a grandfather and a father, and I'm extremely concerned that at the moment my grandchildren don't have a future.
We're here protesting against the government and the system in place at the moment, which is ignoring the climate crisis which we're heading into and we are already in.
Initially it was concern for my grandchildren. I've got 2 granddaughters who are aged 2 and 4, and I look at them and I think they're going to live into the 22nd century, and what sort of world are we creating?
We're here today with Extinction Rebellion, demanding urgent action on the climate and ecological crisis. We advocate a citizens' assembly as a form of participatory democracy with randomly selected members of the UK population to discuss how we're going to tackle this ecological emergency, because it's so urgent that the needs of future generations will not be met.
And we've got a lot of people here today who are taking it to extreme levels. What's your view on that, like gluing yourself to pavements, or do you believe in the more traditional word of mouth?
We've tried traditional methods. So I've been signing petitions, I've been voting green or tactically, I've been supporting wildlife conservation, I work in wildlife conservation. I've been doing all the right things for 30 years. In those 30 years, we have emitted half of all of the greenhouse gases that are up there now. So things are getting worse at an exponential rate. You know, normal campaigning just doesn't work.
So hi, my name's Josh.
Hi Josh.
Nice to meet you.
My name's Jay.
Happy birthday.
Thank you very much.
So what are you thinking of all this today?
Well, I think it's great. I'm completely in support of the Extinction Rebellion. I'm not quite so sure about their class war point. Mm-hmm. I think it's diluting the message.
Yep.
I think more people from the city should come out to support them, so that it shows that it's not some sort of niche group, that more kind of ordinary looking people are supporting them. I think they've got more support than they think they have actually around the country.
And are you working here today?
I am working here today, yes.
So has it been disruptive the last week and a half?
It's been slightly disruptive, but that's the whole point, isn't it?
So you're more than happy to put up with the disruption so the message gets heard and something gets done about
it? Yes,
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So what's your sort of view on the whole Extinction Rebellion and the process here today?
Well, my personal view is that I think it's quite good.
Yeah.
I'm just standing here thinking it's completely non-violent.
Yeah.
They're just bringing attention to people, giving information out. I think it's a good thing. I think it's about time we look at things and try to do something in a better way.
Guilty!
So hello, have you heard of Extinction Rebellion?
No.
No, you've never heard of Extinction Rebellion?
No, not really.
The protests up in London at the moment.
Oh yeah, no, yes I have.
Yeah?
Yes.
What's your view on the rebellion then?
I think it's great. I think some people may be a bit confused between an actual riot and rebelling, because they're 2 different things. Like a riot is illegal and rebelling is not illegal, so people are scared.
Mm-hmm. I think that the idea of protesting against all of the stuff is really good, but the way they've gone about it is a bit iffy.
Oh goodness, the last 2 weeks. So I think there's been some good and then there's been some bad. I think the message is right. I think their cause is right. I think in terms of big picture thinking, they've got the right sort of idea.
It's a good thing.
It's a good thing, yeah. Have you ever participated in a climate strike or anything like that? Would you ever consider doing something like that?
Yeah.
No.
Is that something you consider doing?
Yes. Yeah.
Is that because it's more popular and it seems like a fun sort of thing to do?
I think it's because it's more approachable, and it's not as scary as I once thought. And I won't get arrested.
Have you ever been involved in a climate protest or strike
No.
before? Is that something now it's more popular that you would be tempted to go and participate in?
I mean, maybe because it's an important subject, but I'd have to look into what they're doing at the whatever it is before I took part.
Definitely. So you think there's like more research into how they're doing it and
Yeah.
it should be done, and just to correct the way they're doing it. Would you ever get involved in the protesting, Matt?
It's tempting. It's always that trouble with striking where, yes, I think it's important, but also at the end of the day, sadly, I'm not the richest 1% and I still need to get paid at the end of the month. And so if I take a day, then I lose a day's pay, which can be obviously a worthy cause, but with a 2-week cause, I can't afford to lose 2 weeks worth of pay. But it's interesting to see what students can do around college in terms of spreading the message out there. I think we had that one student who was in college but was striking from his lessons and was in the sort of piazza canteen area waving the Extinction Rebellion flag around. I thought that was interesting, and possibly again spreading that sort of idea and getting people talking about it. It's sort of extending the conversation now, and whilst negative or positive, people are talking about it, whereas before, a couple of months back, they were like, oh yeah, that's the funny logo, isn't it? Whereas now people know about it.
Did you see in the news the other day about people climbing on top of the tube train?
Yes, that was great.
What's your view on that? Because they were like arguing against public transport almost, which is like an efficient way to go around the city.
I think police will be all over that, because as soon as you stop like a government thing, and TfL is a government thing, you're going to get arrested. So, it's risky business, but I think it's pretty cool.
I think that what they did yesterday on the tube, on the train, was probably the wrong thing to do, as in public transport is the answer, not the problem. And them targeting Canning Town is probably not the best idea, because lots of people there are working class and work on 0 hours contracts. So they really need to get to work, and if they don't get paid. So they are probably sort of alienating themselves from that side of the sort of audience. However, what they're doing about big oil and big companies, I think even today, they've defied the ban on protests and have set up a wigwam in Oxford Circus. I think, yeah, they're getting good publicity and the right messages out there.
I think that it's a good way of getting people's attention, but it disrupts everything else in people's lives, and people have important things that they need to get to. They might have disrupted a person who's trying to change, like all of the stuff going on. They might have stopped it from getting somewhere. It's like, I don't think they've put enough thought into it.
Over the last 2 weeks, a lot of people have got arrested for the cause. Is that something that you sort of condemn and might see, and you think it's a good thing, or what's your view on that?
I think it's kind of funny, because they had like police from Wales and stuff, and they like got people to fill out all the jails so nobody could like actually be sent to prison. They actually had to fill out the jails so nobody else could go to prison, and it was great. So there's loads of people.
And do you think the government should be held responsible for the climate change and the current predicament?
I think everyone should be held accountable, not just the government, because big corporations, the government, because they need to set in laws to change things. But an everyday person needs to be put responsible. It's like a group effort.
I think it's small steps. I think it's that idea with anything in terms of from a democratic point of view, you feel as one person fairly insignificant, but as one person, if we all act and make those small changes as a larger community, it can make a big difference. The depressing factor still comes there. If I cut back on my single-use plastics and reduce my travel and make sure I turn my tap and light off super carefully at the end of the day, within my one day as an individual, China or Shell or BP, meanwhile, are dumping and are doing way more damage than I could ever sort of reverse. But I suppose the point is, as little individuals together, we can do great things. Whereas if you just sort of lie back and let it happen, yeah, it is a bit of an emergency, I suppose, yeah.